The rise of the digital gibberish. If you've spent any time on the internet lately, you've likely encountered a nightmare you couldn't look away from. A surreal, AI-generated image of a creature that shouldn't exist, perhaps a three-legged shark in Nike sneakers, or a crocodile merged with a Boeing B-17 bomber, accompanied by a high-pitched, synthetic Italian accent, screaming, "Tralalero, tralala," or "Bombardiro crocodillo." Or maybe you've seen younger generations laughing at a series of toilets with human heads, shouting words like Skibidi, Riz, and Gyat, as if they were performing a sacred ritual. To many, this looks like the final collapse of human culture. We call it Brainrot. In 2024, the Oxford University Press named Brainrot its Word of the Year, marking a 230% increase in usage. The term refers to the perceived cognitive decline caused by the compulsive consumption of low-quality, trivial, or nonsensical internet content. But underneath the surface of these absurd videos lies a hidden system that is fundamentally rewriting how humans communicate. We are moving away from the traditional language of extended conversation and entering an era of platformed language, a world where the algorithm is the grammar and the meme is the primary unit of meaning. To understand why this is happening, we have to look at the latest viral phenomenon, Italian brain rot. Emerging in early 2025, this trend is characterized by grotesque AI-generated visuals paired with pseudo-Italian names like Tralalero Tralala or Ballerina Cappuccina. These names have no connection to the real Italian language. They are chosen because they sound weirdly rhythmic or aggressive to the digital ear. In these videos, traditional meaning is entirely discarded. There is no plot, only an emotional impact designed to trigger a rapid dopamine response and force your brain to spend milliseconds trying to decode the slop. This slop, a term for low-quality digital garbage, is created as a means toward an end, the commodification of the process itself. But is this actually degradation? Or is it just a radical new form of mimetic linguistics? Human language has always evolved, but today, the internet is performing a high-speed surgery on our vocabulary. We are seeing the rise of erratives, intentionally misspelled or distorted words that become new social norms.
Think of expressions like krosivoi or poidumoi. These aren't mistakes made by uneducated people. They are deliberate choices by a generation that views traditional grammar as an obstacle to speed. For Generation Alpha, memes aren't just jokes, they are precedent texts. A single distorted image or a broken word carries a mountain of context, emotions, and cultural history. When a child says Skibidi, they aren't just saying a word. They are referencing a shared social identity and thousands of hours of collective viewing. In a world where our attention spans are being shredded by endless scrolling, the meme has become the most efficient multimodal package to transmit information instantly. This brings us back to the 1 billion heartbeat law. Nature gave you a biological budget. Every minute you spend deciphering why an AI-generated log with a mace is named Tung 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 Sahur is a withdrawal from your biological bank account. The scary part isn't that kids are talking differently. The scary part is that the hidden system of the attention economy has figured out how to hack our cognitive processing. By stripping away semantic depth and replacing it with pure visual and auditory shocks, the internet is training our brains to value speed over depth. We are witnessing the birth of a language that is no longer built for humans to understand each other, but for humans to feed the algorithm. The question is, if we lose our ability to form complex sentences, do we also lose our ability to have complex thoughts? Is the internet rotting our brains, or is it simply preparing us for a future where thinking is no longer necessary because the slop provides everything we need? To find out, we have to look at the logic of the out of context and why the most successful people of the future might be the ones who can speak meme better than English. The architecture of slop and the rebellion of the errative. To understand why your brain is currently losing the war against the algorithm, you need to understand a term that is redefining our reality.
Slop. Just as spam clogged our email inboxes in the early 2000s, slop is clogging our collective consciousness today. Slop is low-quality, AI-generated content, grotesque visuals, nonsensical text, and synthetic audio, created not to inform or inspire, but to commodify the very process of your attention. This is what researchers call the strategic cycle of slop.
Because the internet is an attention economy, each new piece of content must be more extreme, more shocking, and more absurd than the last to overcome the background noise of the digital world. This creates a dopamine loop, or what some call the seed effect, a psychological trap where the brain compulsively scrolls through meaningless content, searching for a pattern that isn't there. The Italian Brainrot characters are the perfect slop avatars. They are strange enough to stop your scroll, forcing your brain to spend precious milliseconds trying to decode a message that has no logic. But Brainrot is more than just weird pictures of crocodiles. It is a total dismantling of human grammar through a process called errativization. An errative is a word that is intentionally misspelled or distorted to give it a new emotional flavor. In the Russian-speaking internet, we see words like krasivoye, beautiful, poidumoy, think about it, or uzbazgoysha, calm down. To an outsider, these look like the mistakes of an uneducated person, but to the digital generation, these are tribal markers. Recent linguistic studies suggest that this intentional violation of language norms is actually a form of linguistic rebellion. In an era where AI autocorrects our every word and social media platforms filter our speech, breaking the language is a way to reclaim cognitive freedom. It is a way to say, I am human because I can choose to be nonsensical. To test how deep this rot goes, researchers conducted a massive associative experiment. They presented subjects with 27 popular precedent erratives, misspelled words from viral memes. The results were staggering. 86% of participants didn't just recognize the broken words, they preferred them. They didn't see mistakes, they saw a shared cultural code. When shown the phrase, "Vi podoete rybov," are you selling fish? Participants immediately triggered a mountain of context, ironic humor, and visual imagery that the correct version of the sentence simply couldn't provide. This brings us to the ultimate symbol of digital simplification, the letter E. In traditional linguistics, E is just a vowel, but in the age of brain rot, it has become a linguistic singularity. Much like the Q and Y from the 1986 sci-fi prophecy Kin-dza-dza, where an entire planet reduced its language to just 2 sounds, the letter E now serves as a universal expression for any strong, non-verbalized emotion. It has replaced LOL and OMG in many digital circles, becoming a sound that signifies everything and nothing at once. The late politician Vladimir Zhirinovsky famously tried to ban the letter U in 2014, calling it an animalistic, guttural sound that separated Russia from the rest of the civilized world. He argued that no European language has it, and that it makes us look primitive. But he failed to realize that the internet wants to be primitive. In a world of overwhelming complexity, the move toward meme speak and the letter U is an attempt to find a universal language of emotion that requires no effort to understand. We are living through a massive cognitive downscaling. By choosing the slop and the errative over complex long-form thought, we are training our brains to value the shock of the moment over the depth of the century. The hidden system has figured out that if it rots the language, it rots the ability to organize against the algorithm. But is there a terminal stage? What happens when the slop stops being a joke and starts becoming our primary way of viewing reality? To find out, we have to look at the weaponization of the absurd and why global corporations are now spending millions to make sure you never stop saying tralalero, tralala. The meme weapon and the final countdown. We are no longer just watching memes, we are being colonized by them. If you think brain rot is just a harmless phase for kids, you are missing the most important hidden system of our decade.
the strategic weaponization of nonsense. In the last year, the most powerful corporations on Earth have realized that in the attention economy, confusion is often more profitable than clarity. We are seeing a radical shift in marketing, where brands have abandoned traditional logic for surreal, AI-generated slop to capture the Gen Alpha and Gen Z gaze. The airline Ryanair was one of the first to integrate these absurdist elements, using AI-styled planes to tell followers, "Welcome to the family." Samsung followed suit with its own Brainrot remixes, and even the language-learning giant Duolingo collaborated with German-rot influencers to create nonsensical content that went viral precisely because it made no sense.
Even elite sports teams like the Zenit Football Club now post videos of AI crocodiles playing soccer, realizing that a confusing video stops the scroll and forces the brain to spend precious milliseconds trying to decode the absurdity. But this weaponization has moved beyond the supermarket and into the halls of power. Brainrot has officially entered American politics. During the 2024 election cycle, the official TikTok account of the Democratic Party released a video mocking billionaire Elon Musk, using the aesthetic and synthetic voices of Italian Brainrot. When information is delivered as gibberish, the logical filters of your brain shut down, leaving only the emotional dopamine loop wide open for manipulation. This brings us to a terrifying linguistic prophecy from a 1986 Soviet cult film called Kin-dza-dza. In the movie, an entire civilization has reached the ultimate stage of brain rot, reducing their entire language to just two words, ku and y, the Russian letter E. In 2026, this is no longer science fiction. In digital spaces, the letter E has become a universal replacement for LOL, or any strong, non-verbalized emotion. It is the ultimate linguistic singularity, a sound that signifies everything and nothing at the same time. Politicians like the late Vladimir Zhirinovsky famously tried to remove the letter E from the alphabet, calling it a monstrous and animalistic sound that separated civilization from the primitive world. But he failed to realize that in an era of overwhelming complexity, the internet wants to be primitive. By simplifying our language down to viral sounds and AI-generated slop, we are performing a dangerous biological trade. Think back to the 1 billion heartbeat law. Nature gave every mammal a budget of 1 billion ticks, but humans used their intelligence and complex language to push that limit to 3 billion. We won 2 extra lives by building systems of logic, science, and philosophy. Every hour you spend watching a toilet with a head sing Skibidi is a voluntary withdrawal from your biological bank account. You are training your brain to move away from the space-filling fractal of human thought and back toward the simple, linear, and rotted patterns of a dopamine-addicted animal. Brain rot is not a failure of technology. It is a systemic harvest of human time. The internet has become a one-way mirror, where the algorithm reflects our cognitive weaknesses back to us as Italian gibberish. So, what is the antidote? How do we stop the rot? It starts with polite audacity. You have to have the audacity to be inconvenient to the algorithm. You have to refuse the slop and realize that your language is the only thing separating your 3 billion heartbeats from the 1 billion of a hamster. Scientists like Daria Grebenyuk warn of digital dementia and suggest that we must reclaim our focus by engaging in actions that last longer than 8 minutes. Reading books without summaries, writing complex sentences, and having conversations that cannot be condensed into a single meme. The clearance bin of the internet is full of AI sharks in sneakers and synthetic accents. It is time to move yourself back to the premium section of life. Your heart has 3 billion ticks. Don't let them rot. Because in a world where everyone is shouting, "Bombardiro crocodilo," the most audacious thing you can do is speak for yourself.